Okay, so our quick recap that we're going to do is essentially just quickly looking at the 3 reasons that we have learned, as well as then just practicing a couple examples to make sure that we're happy. Mostly because these 3 examples, these 3 reasons that we've done so far are the main reasons for triangle geometry. So if we've got these down, we should be okay. Alrighty, so the very first reason that we had a look at, I've made some choices here that are a bit odd, but it's fine, was the fact that we know that when we've got 3 angles in our triangle, which we always have because a triangle has 3 angles, they add up to 180 degrees. So if we add all of our interior angles of a triangle, we will always get 180. It doesn't matter what type of triangle we're working with. And guys, remember, this is geometry, so it's a statement we've given. We now need to give a reason, and that reason is sum of angles in triangle. The next reason that we did last week, Wednesday, is the fact that if we've got an exterior angle to a triangle, so remember the angle outside our triangle, that is always equal to the sum of the 2 opposite interior angles. Okay, so this exterior angle of A is equal to the 2 interior angles B plus C. That reason, exterior angle of a triangle. Now guys, just to like prove how important this is, this exterior angle of a triangle I used today with my grade 11s in maths. So all of the stuff that we're doing now in grade 8, we use in grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. This is going to carry you through all the way up into matric. All right. And so we need to be comfortable with this stuff because, like I say, I did a whole lesson where we needed to know this reason today with my grade 11s. And if we don't know this, we're going to see problems later on. All right. And then the third reason that we had a look at, nearly said yesterday, on Monday, is the fact that if we have a triangle with 2 equal sides, so in essence, a isosceles triangle, the 2 angles opposite the equal sides are also equal to each other. And this was our reason, angles op equal sides. So just a reminder, when you are given equal sides, so here my sides were given as equal. I know they were given as equal because I have those little strike or little line marks on them. The angles opposite are then equal to each other. And like I said, that was the reason that we learned on Monday this week. So remember grade 8, I've said to you before that you should have like a little information sheet that you've been keeping the whole time throughout geometry. And every time you learn a new reason, you put it on. So these 3 triangle reasons should now be part of your geometry information sheet, along with all of those straight line reasons that we learned, what, like a month ago. So all of these we now need to be able to apply in different scenarios. I'm just going to wait here in case anyone wants to take a screenshot of those 3 reasons. But otherwise, we're going to have a look at some examples practicing. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I've got like such bad hiccups today. Practicing these 3 reasons that we have looked at. Okay, so I'm just waiting. Oh, golly. Just waiting for you guys to take a screenshot, and then we're going to have a look at some examples. Alrighty. So let's practice what we should know so far. Okay, so if we have a look at our first question, remember guys, I've said to you, what you always want to do is you want to look at your diagram and first decide what information do you have. Okay, it's no use trying to jump into a question if you don't actually know what information that you have and that or how it is useful to you. Right, so just because I always do this, our instructions for geometry are generally determine the value of the missing angle. Sometimes we say of the lowercase letters. I'm just going to go with that for now. All right, to start off with, I'm first going to identify what information do I have. Well, I know I've got the fact that BC is equal to AC. Sorry, who knows what's happening, but anyways. So BC is equal to AC. I know that because I've got these lines on the sides. Because I've got those lines on the sides, I know that they're equal. I have also been given the fact that the angle at C is 100 degrees. So I've got one of my two angles in my triangle. But the fact that I've got equal sides is also really important because I also know that the angles opposite those equal sides are equal to each other. So angle A and angle B are equal to each other. And so through all of this information, I'm eventually able to go and get X. Right, so remember, this is geometry. We set up our page to make sure that we remember that we need to give a statement as well as a reason for whatever statement we make. And guys, remember again, if you leave off your reason, you're going to lose marks. Okay, so the first statement that we need to make is the fact that we know that we've got the angle A and angle B equal to each other. So X is equal to angle B. And we know this because we've got angles opposite equal sides. Now I have to make that statement because in order for me to do the next step, I need to know that those angles are the same. And so now I know both of these angles are X. I then have my triangle and my 100 degrees at angle C. And so I know that X plus 100 degrees will give me 180 degrees. And that goes back to my first triangle reason, which is sum of angles in triangle. And I'm going to say this again. I said it on Monday, but I'm going to say it again now. You have no choice. You have to make this statement. You have to say that you know that X is equal to B, because if you don't, there is no way that you can go and say X plus X. You have to tell me that you know that those angles are the same because they're angles opposite equal sides. And then you can set up your sum of angles in a triangle reason. So once we've got that, we can solve our equation. We know that X plus X is 2X plus 100 degrees is equal to 180. Like I say, we're solving an equation, so we need to start using inverse operations. And the first inverse operation I'm going to use is the fact that I need to subtract 100 on both sides. So I've got 2x is equal to 180 minus 100. So 2x is equal to 80. And guys, remember, I'm solving for x. I don't want the value of 2x, I want the value of x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2 in order to get that x alone. And so x is equal to 40 degrees. Remember, you can double check yourself. All we need to do is we need to take our answer that we got and substitute it into our diagram to make sure it makes sense. So if both of these angles at A and B are 40, if I add 40, 100, and 40, I should get 180 because they're angles in a triangle. And so because 40 plus 100 is equal to 80, 180, we know that our answer is correct. So Owetu, you have to make that statement. If you don't make that statement, everything else you say is based on an assumption. Now in grade 8, we're not super strict, but when it comes to like grade 10, 11, and like when you write your final matric paper, if you do something based on an assumption, they will give you 0. Right, so it's really important to start getting into the habit now of writing down every bit of information that you use and that you are, or that is important to the question, so that you don't lose those marks. All right, so guys, I'm going to say this again. You have to, let's get a bright color. You have to make the statement that you know that X is equal to B, or that you know that these two angles A and B are the same because of angles opposite equal sides. If you don't, the fact that you have said X plus X is then an assumption. You don't actually know that they are equal because you haven't made the statement. And so now all of your working out is based on an assumption. And remember, I've said this before, we never assume anything in geometry. It's either given to us or we prove it. Those are the only two ways we can use information. Right, so you have to make that statement in order to continue on with the question. All right, guys, so I'm just going to make that a touch smaller. What I want you to do is I want you guys to try question 2 for me. So by yourselves, I want you to try question 2. Please be careful, or please just take note of the fact that in question 2, you are looking for X and y. Okay, so there's two angles that I want the value of, x and y. X is such an aggressive one, this yellow one top right, and then we've got angle y down at the bottom. So I need two answers from you, an answer for x with a reason and an answer for y with a reason, please. Okay, so just remember those reasons, please. Exactly as at Lachang, Letabo has started putting there on the chat, with a reason. Okay, guys, we got an answer for that question about how much the boot camps are. So for both sessions, so for 2 sessions, the Saturday the 28th and Sunday the 4th, it is 279 Rand. So if you work that out per session, it's 139 Rand 50 cents per session. I'll put it on the chat just in case you want. Oops.
You guys are doing so well, my people. You're doing so well. Remember an answer and a reason so far. Okay, and watch out on Teacher Sam's message. Take a screenshot of it so that you can send to your parents. There we go. I hope you saw that, guys. Take a screenshot. Save it somewhere.
I'll send it again later towards the end of the lesson as well, guys, just in case. All right, I'm giving you another minute or so. I see a few answers coming through, so I'm just going to give everyone a chance to make sure that they get it. So Nyane, the boot camp is an hour and a half, so it's from 2 to 3:30. Sorry, my door just blew open. I'm just going to close that real quick.
Let's go, my people. Anyone who haven't given a chance yet, please do write it on your books, on your papers first, and then write it here with the reasons for car. You need to put a reason with your answer always. Always must have a reason.
Nice, guys. Okay, let's have a look at question 2. I'll make this smaller again so that you can screenshot just now, but let's first get our answers. Right, now remember I told you this before, you don't have to start with X. Often it makes sense to go alphabetically because it leads us to the next one, but it's completely up to you. In this case, we will have to start with X if we want to get Y. So here, X is equal to 34 degrees. Why? Well, because if I go back to my diagram and I have a look, I've got 2 equal sides. We know that the angles opposite those sides are equal to each other, and so that is why X is equal to 34. Angles op equal sides. Oh, sides, there we go. Once we've got X, we are now able to get Y. So remember this, X is 34 degrees. And guys, I've said this to you before as well. Put the information that you found on the diagram, because now this is going to help me get to Y. Because now I can see that Y plus 34 degrees plus 34 degrees is equal to 180, because those are all our angles in a triangle, so sum of angles in triangle. And so now I can solve for y. Now 34 plus 34 is 68. Whoopsie daisies. So y plus 68 is equal to 180. We're going to use our inverse operations and we're going to subtract 68 on both sides. And so that tells me that y is equal to 112 degrees. So I got x, I got y, all through using my geometry reasons. Okay, so guys, remember, as we start to move up in geometry, so as our questions start to get more and more complex, we often have to find multiple different angles. And so that means that we will often have an answer, a reason, then a new angle, answer, reason, a new angle, answer, reason. And so sometimes one answer can have 3 or 4 different reasons just because you have so many angles to determine. All right, so I'm just going to do that. Take your screenshots of those two. Right, if anyone has any questions, now is the time that you can raise your hand and ask. Please remember, grade 8, I need a specific question. Unfortunately, who's saying, I don't get it, I don't understand, I don't know what's going on. I can't do anything with that. You need to tell me exactly where you've gotten confused or exactly what's confusing you, and then I can help you. Please also remember that everything is recorded. So if you miss the lessons from last week and Monday, you need to go and watch the recordings. Lindo?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, can I ask for solving x? Why don't we say
sorry,
34?
Lindo, in question 1 or question 2?
Question 2.
Cool. Okay, yeah. Why don't we say?
Why don't we say 34 plus x equals to 180 degrees, and then x equals to 180 degrees minus 34 degrees equals to x equals to 146 degrees. And then for y, we take 146 degrees plus y equals to 180 degrees and carry on the method.
So remember, we can't do that because you have to be adding all 3 angles in your triangle. So we have to add 34, y, and x if we want to make it equal to 180. You can't make 2 angles equal to 180. It has to be all 3 equal to 180. Lindo?
Ma'am?
Does that make sense?
I didn't hear you, ma'am, quietly.
You cannot do only 2 angles equal to 180. So you can't say x plus 34 equals 180. It has to be all 3 angles in our triangle. So if we were going to say that, then you'd have to say 34 plus x plus y equals 180. It has to be all 3 angles equal to 180. It can't just be 2.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Right, guys, please can we just focus on our lesson here? The boot camps are optional. It is your choice to be there if you want. None of you actually should be nearly finishing exams in terms of those dates because term 4 actually only finishes in December. And so your exams will probably only be starting around end October, beginning November. So it is right at prime time. But again, like if it doesn't work for you, doesn't work for you, that's cool. We obviously want you there because it's going to be really helpful, but that is completely up to you to go and see what your timetable is. But as a teacher, I know that exams pretty much start at the end of October and into November. So it is during exam time. So yeah, there are good dates for exams. So please do sign up. But right now we're focusing on the lesson. All right, I hope you've taken screenshots. I'm moving on. Okay. Right. I want you guys to try question 3 for me. We're not going to do both of those, just question 3, because this is going to practice almost all of our triangle reasons here. It's also a really nice exam or test type question. So this is definitely the type of question you can expect in an assessment. You're going to try it by yourself. There's 3 angles now that we need. So the first angle that I'm asking you for is X, or you can start wherever you want, you know this. Y, and then angle Z. All right, so X, Y, and Z, I want answers again on the chat with reasons, please. Let's see what we get.
Let's go, my people.
Yeah, Sunyane, so no, the diagram is correct, but you can then make a statement that they are equal to each other. That's the only hint I'm giving. But no, my diagram is correct, but you can then make a statement that I've just said. Right, so guys, remember your reasons. I'm looking for answers for X, Y, and Z. Remember, you've got 3 reasons that you can use for triangles. So sum of angles in a triangle equal to an 80. Angles opposite equal sides, as well as exterior angles of a triangle. And as Katlego put there on the chat, you can also use any of your straight line angle reasons, as long as it's a geometric reason that relates to the specific diagram, you can use it. Grade 8, just be mindful of the fact that these are your equal sides here. So please just be very careful that you are using the correct equal sides in your triangle. Please remember your reasons as well, guys. An answer without a reason is going to lose you marks. All right, I'm giving you 1 more minute. I've also showed you how to check your answers, so please make sure you are checking if you are done. All right, so let's have a look. First thing, guys, that I just want to, actually, no, I'll get to it in a second. Okay, so I've highlighted the equal sides. So what that means is that the angles opposite them are equal. So this is what Sinyani was saying earlier. Our first statement that we can make is that we know that x is equal to y because of angles of equal sides. Right, and because I know that, if you want to, and only if it helps you, you could then make both of these x, because they're the same thing. You could also make both of them y. They represent the same value. From there, we can now go and say, okay, well, if they're both the same, x plus 50 must give me 180, or y plus 50 gives me 180. And this is because of sum of angles in triangle. I'm going to solve for x now. So x plus x is 2x plus 50 is equal to 180. Inverse operations tells me to subtract 50 on both sides. And so 2x is equal to 130. I want x, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And so x is equal to 65 degrees, which therefore means, because we've made the statement, which therefore means that y is also equal to 65 degrees. All because we made that first statement, which we have to make, we immediately got x and y. So I now know both of these angles here are 65 degrees. Now I just need to go and find z. All right, now really importantly, grade 8s, sorry, let me just get rid of this. Really, really importantly, the angles z, x, and y are not all angles on a straight line. I'm going to say that again. Z, x, and y are not angles on a straight line. Remember, angles on a straight line have to be adjacent. They have to be right next to each other. This y is nowhere near x and z. So the only angles on straight line that I have here is actually between x and z. That is it. So you can use angles on a straight line to work out z. That's absolutely fine. And if you do that, you would say z plus 65 is equal to 180 because of angles on straight line. And then you would get that z is equal to 115 degrees. But importantly, this y is nowhere near x and z. It is not adjacent to them. So it is not included on the angles on a straight line. Another way you could have worked out z, guys, this is an exterior angle to your triangle. So you could have said 50 plus 65 using exterior angles. So z is equal to 50 plus 65 exterior angle of triangle. And so z is equal to 115 degrees. Either way, you can see you get exactly the same answer for z. So both reasons are perfect. And I've said to you again, or I've said to you before, that often there's multiple ways to do the same thing, either exterior angles or angles on a straight line in order to get z. So Peso, the 3 dots mean therefore. Junior, the 50 was part of me simplifying. So if you have a look here, there's my plus 50. I brought it over. So inverse operation says it's minus 50, and 180 minus 50 is 130. So it all just gets simplified into one term. The 2 or where to came from the fact that I had x plus x. So remember, x plus x gives me 2x. So that 2 is my coefficient to the x's and what I will eventually need to divide away because I don't want it anymore. And that seems like all our questions. Tabiso, I did answer your question, so I hope you were listening. And so did Atlahang. Atlahang also gave you an answer there. Alrighty. So guys, that is how we get the answer here. And again, this is very, very much a test-like question. You can 100% expect something like this in a test or in an exam. So I'm going to leave it there for you to take screenshots. If anyone has any questions, now's the time to raise your hand and ask me. Tabiso?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, in one equation, is it allowed to repeat one reason, or you have to use different reasons?
You can use, I mean, it depends. So for a new angle, you could potentially use the same reason that you've already used, but it depends on the diagram. So sometimes you will be reusing a reason, but sometimes it might be a new reason. What you do need to remember though, is that every new angle you have to work out, it has to get its own reason.
Like, for example, angles around a point, the vertically opposites, you can repeat vertically opposites.
You can repeat any reason. Like I say, as long as it fits in with the diagram, that's fine.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Morgan?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, may I please ask for X and Y, if there were numbers already there and it was just Z that didn't have a number, how would we do that?
So then you've got lots of options. If you know what what X is, you could use angles on a straight line. If you had 50 and 65, you could also use exterior angle of a triangle. So it would depend which one you wanted to use.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Since Wallo, right now, it's, sorry, I don't know why I said right now. That was a weird statement. Since Wallo, it is isosceles, because according to the information I've given you, you've got 2 equal sides in your triangle. So that makes it isosceles. Okay, guys, I hope you've all taken your screenshots while I was answering questions like I asked you to do. So we're just going to have a look at this last reason in the last 10 or so minutes. The reason I'm not too stressed about the fact that we've been revising is because, like I said, those 3 reasons that we worked with, sorry, those 3 reasons that we've been working with are your main triangle reasons. This reason that we're going to have a look at pops up every now and then, but it really isn't one that we use a lot. Okay, so this is actually our first, what we call converse reason. Okay, now a converse reason basically means that we've dealt with one reason that says angles opposite equal sides are equal. And now we're going to look at the reason that is basically the opposite of that. So what we know so far is that if I give you 2 equal sides, then we know that the angles opposite them, so angles op equal sides, are equal. So then I know that those 2 angles are equal. We're now going to do the converse. We're now going to go backwards. We're now going to say you are given the equal angles. And when you're given the equal angles, you now know that the sides opposite them are equal. So it's almost like going backwards from the angles op equal sides reason. Now, because it isn't the same reason, we can't use angles op equal sides. And so our reason that we use here is now sides op equal angles. Okay, we're making the statement that the sides are equal, so sides op equal angles. So again, just get a better system going on here. If you are given a triangle with 2 equal angles, then the sides opposite the angles are also equal. So it's like the opposite or the inverse or the converse of the latest reason that we learned. Like I say, this does not come up a lot. It can come up, but it doesn't come up a lot, which is why we're sort of ending off with this, so that you've seen it. It is useful to know, but it's not something that we're going to test you like 40 marks on in a test. Right, I'm a little bit upset that we're not focusing on the chat. At the beginning of every single lesson, I provide you guys with a breakdown of what we are doing in our course. And so if you read that information that I do put up there for you, you will see what's coming up. So Junior and Cabello, we will be doing quadrilaterals next week, Wednesday. I'm only doing one lesson on it because it is not a big section that you need to know. You also do it again in grade 9. And so that's where kites and obviously quadrilaterals in general come in. But please do actually read the information that I put up at the start of the lesson, because all of that is there. And I do that so that we don't have to stress about it during the lesson. Okay, so guys, if we have a look at an example using this reason. So if we are given two equal angles, we can then say the sides opposite are equal. So let's have a look at an example. In this question, I have been given that my angles are equal. Now, again, I know that they're equal because they've got that line on them. Remember, anytime we see a line on an angle or a side, we know that they're equal. And because they are equal to each other, I know that the two sides opposite them have to be equal as well. And so without doing any sort of calculation here, I can immediately go and say what x is. So I can immediately go and say x is equal to 2 centimeters. And now my reason, be careful, it is because the sides are opposite equal angles. And that's it, right? So as long as we can identify our equal angles, we can then go and say that the sides opposite them are equal. So I'm going to stop here. If anyone has any questions, now is the time to raise your hand and ask. Otherwise, we're going to do one or two more examples. We'll see how we go. Or where to, the angle doesn't have a size and we don't need it to have a size. All we need to know for this question is the fact that they are equal. And I know that these angles are equal because I put that line on them. All right. Morgan, it's not equal to 2x. I'm not timesing them. I'm not adding them. I'm not doing anything. We are saying that the sides opposite are equal. So x is equal to 2 centimeters. That is what the reason says to me. Cool. No, we didn't have to calculate anything, Kutlwano. We might have to, it depends on like the question we're given, but in this case, I saw that they were opposite, I saw that they were equal, and that's it. Okay, so no calculation for this one. Now, yeah, absolutely, as long as I told you where the equal angles are, you can always assume the sides opposite them are equal. Lyndall, if you don't have the equal signs, you would either need to show or somehow prove that the angles are equal to each other using our triangle reasons, and then you could go and say that the sides opposite are equal. Right, I'm hoping we all got our screenshots. So let's have a look at another one. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know why I don't just move this up. Alrighty, so I want you guys to try this one by yourselves. So let's just look together at what information I've given you. Everything's chaotic here. So we have been given 2 bits of information. I've been told that this angle is equal to 65 and that angle is equal to 65. And I've been told that I've got one side length of 2.5 centimeters. What I want from you guys is x, and I want the reason. Now, guys, the reason is not angles up equal sides. It's not that. That's all I'm going to say. All right, I'm going to give you a minute with a reason, please. Answers in the chat. And guys, please remember that you are looking for a length here. So if it's in centimeters, millimeters, whatever, your answer should contain those units. Oh, it's so cold. Ugh. Good, Buflale. Well done on putting those units in there. Nice, guys. I'm glad I'm seeing both answers and reasons. Well done. Look how many red pens I have. I realized today that I have all of these red pens at home, but I have one with me when I'm at school. Makes no sense. Nice, guys. Okay, cool. So we can see that 65 is equal to 65. That's given to us. I didn't have to go and prove it or show it or anything like that. It's there. So automatically I can say X is equal to 2,5 centimeters. And importantly, it's because they are the sides opposite equal angles. And that's it. Didn't have to do any calculation, didn't have to do any working out. That was it. All right, so I'm just going to do that in case you want to take a screenshot or didn't get a screenshot, just in case.